control.
Choosing from his collection of women's underwear, Brudos dressed Slauson's body in high heels and lingerie. He snapped photograph after photograph.
He took a hacksaw and cut off one of her feet. He saved that as a trophy, put it in the freezer that he had. Periodically took it out. It was a fetish item, and put a female shoe on it, masturbated, got sexual arousal from it.
Late at night, while his family slept, Brudos loaded the remains of Linda Slauson's corpse into his car. He tied the body to an automobile transmission and tossed it into the Long Tom River. The following day, Linda Slauson's family began a frantic missing persons search. Oregon State Police were stymied. Privately, Jerome Henry Brudos basked in the afterglow of his first murder. It would be 10 months before he would kill again.
With serial killers, there's going to be that cooling off period, and that cooling off period will start to probably get shorter and shorter as they go along.
In the intervening months, Jerome moved his family to Salem. Their new house had a separate garage, perfect for a very private workshop. On the night of November 26, 1968, while driving home from work, Jerome encountered Jan Whitney. Whitney's car had stalled on Interstate 5.
He stopped, thought she was nice looking, was another potential victim. He told her he would fix her car, but he had to go to Salem to get some tools.
Jerry drove Jan to Salem and left her in the car while he went into his house. When he returned to the car, he slid into the back seat behind her.
Took a leather postal strap, strangled her with it, opened the car door, slammed it so the strap was affixed to her neck, and committed his atrocities while she was dying.
Brudos raped the dying girl on the front seat of his family automobile.
Jerome Brudos and his sick desires are taking him places he's never been before. He's now raping a woman's dead body, and then finally at the end of that, leaving her hanging from a hook like a piece of meat in his garage.
There's also an underlying current of violence and anger in him, a feeling that he had a very bad relationship with his mother, that he feels very angry that he wasn't what she wanted, that there's a lot of shame. That shame is tied up in sexuality because his mother did not want him wearing women's shoes. And that representation of sexuality he transferred onto women in general in the society.
Brudos kept the body of Jan Whitney hanging in the garage for 5 days, repeatedly assaulting her corpse.
Jerry Brudos would be a lust killer. The lust killer will kill and have sex with them after death. And so necrophilia is one of his primary motivations.
With Whitney's body still hanging, Jerome took his family away for the long weekend. While they vacationed, a freak accident occurred at the house, nearly exposing Jerome's dark secrets.
A car had run into his garage in part of his workshop. Somebody called the police. The police came out and was looking at the accident.
The unsuspecting police never saw Whitney's body.
And the officer himself actually had tried to look into the garage through a crack in the boards. Had he have seen inside, Jan Susan Whitney was hanging in that workshop.
Brudos thrilled at his close call with the police.
He thought he was highly intelligent. The police were, down at a lower level than he was in life.
When his excitement abated, Jerome tired of his latest trophy. He dumped Jan Whitney's body off a bridge into the Willamette River. 2 Oregon women now vanished, yet still, no one suspected that a vicious serial killer was loose in the Northwest. By the spring of 1969, 2 Oregon women had been murdered at the hands of Jerome Brudos. Both corpses had been raped and mutilated. The killings had followed chance encounters with Brudos. His fantasies about murdering women had escalated to serial murder. And the 30-year-old electrician was through waiting for women to come to him. He was about to start hunting his victims.
Just imagine how bold he's become at this point. He's already raped, he's already killed, he's stolen women's underwear, he's done all those things. Now it seems as though he wants to do something even bolder.
On March 27th, he chose a stalking ground, the parking garage of the Meyer and Frank department store in Salem. The first woman he saw was Karen Sprinker, a student at Oregon State University.
The Sprinkers lived in South Salem, probably about 2 miles away from where Meyer and Frank's store is. She was coming down there just to have lunch with her mother that day.
In an isolated corner of the garage, Jerome seized Karen and forced her into his car.
He had I believe, a toy pistol, and he abducted her with that pistol, took her to his workshop, and apparently she tried everything in her power to save her life.
Had her disrobe, had her pose in different get-ups, high heel shoes and whatnot.
To secure his prisoner, Brudos looped a noose around Sprinker's neck and attached it to the ceiling, spreading the rope through a hoist called a come-along.
He just ratcheted up the come-along and took her feet a couple, 3 inches off the floor, walked in the house, had something to eat, and watched a cartoon while she strangled at the end of that rope.
When Brudos returned to the garage, Karen was dead. He abused the corpse, but he wasn't finished. Brudos wanted a trophy.
He takes this woman, he cuts her breasts off, he makes a cast from them, and then he attempts to make some kind of bronze bust of a woman's breast.
Jerome tied Karen Sprinker's body to an engine block. Unobserved, he hoisted the body over the side of a bridge into the Long Tom River. As Brudos disposed of the body, Sprinker's family and friends tried to make sense of her shocking disappearance.
I knew there was something wrong. Just ran a cold chill up my spine. We had talked to the police, notified them that she was missing.
Police publicized Karen's disappearance and followed up on dozens of fruitless leads. Meanwhile, the Sprinker family organized search parties, desperate to believe she would eventually be found. As Davis and the Sprinkers clung to hope, another young woman walked into fatal danger. On April 21st, watching her cross the street to a Portland Center University parking garage, Brudos picked out Sharon Wood. She fit the profile, slim, attractive, and alone.
I went down the stairs, and as I got down there, this guy was pointing a gun at me, and he says, "If you don't scream, I won't shoot you." He got his arm around my head, and he got somehow my jaw clamped down on his thumb in the struggle. Last thing I remember was he just really hit my head very hard, and I saw stars, and then he jumped up and ran.
Sharon's resistance spooked Brudos, but he managed to escape without attracting attention. Sadly, the Portland police didn't immediately connect Sharon's attacker with the woman who'd been reported missing. Brudos struck again, this time at a much younger target named Gloria Smith.
There was a 12-year-old that was on her way to school, Parrish Junior High School in North Salem. Jerry Brudos, with a pistol, accosted her and kidnapped her and took her back toward his car. And as they went through between two houses, the lady across the street happened to be working in her flower